one of the things that I like to address, humility, mentioned before and will mention again. I believe humility is very important, especially in a topic like this. Most people, they need to stop kidding themselves. When most people, they don't generally come to think about the consideration, this type of consideration when it comes to procreation. It's not an angle typically viewed because, of course, we're not founded from that angle. So it makes sense. But I think, again, coming from that type of dynamic into this discourse, coming into this philosophy, this framework, knowing that it takes a sort of mind, a sort of experience, a sort of whatever to get to understand and address such an angle. It's very profound. It's wise. I mean, it's why you see it in all the, but truthfully, for most everyday common man, they don't really think about it in these terms. So I find it interesting when people like to say, they'll look to say, I get why certain people may not or should not, but for these or myself, I don't see why not. And that's fine. Of course, we're all entitled to our own, ideals, sure. But it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are. The very fact of certain faults that comes with this function that you're condoning, the very fact that you're glossing over such facts, because that's what we're talking about. I mean, observational reality are facts. I was talking to some guy, he was mentioning how, I guess with procreation, inevitably there will be some science. So we need to be scientific, strive for some type of science. I don't know. So he was saying how antinatalism, this type of mentality is based off of feelings. And I agree, it is based off of feelings, but that's not the whole picture. And it's just a lot of times you have to try to throw back the terms that they're using to them. So to say that this is based off of feelings, then would have to make somebody beg the question, are you saying now that natalism, just willfully procreating isn't based off of feelings? Even more so, I think it's reasonable to say that more so is based off of feelings. So what are we really saying here? So it goes back to the whole point that they're not thinking. They're not really thinking. They haven't either asked themselves enough questions, enough introspection, reflection, meditation. Something is off, because for them to be arguing in the position that they are, even still learning something that they never really thought about before, I find quite fascination in it. I really do. The coping mechanism, the self-fake rationalizations that it takes to try to bolster up somebody's own morality to why they would look to impose such a thing. There's one thing about just not knowing about it and just going about monkey see, monkey do, but to act like you're doing something here. That's the interesting portion that I like to pinpoint. And so, yeah, I think too with this topic, I say, birth and death. That's a trauma bond. When people say, we all have mental health or any type of health or this, rehabilitating trials that we have to experience and go through the episodes of life, ups and downs. That's kind of the deception I see of things like trauma. We would like to highlight certain episodes of trauma, but life is but trauma. It doesn't make sense to bookmark certain versions. Yeah, some things may be outliers in context to other things, but at bottom, a lot of the things that we would have to do here are but traumatizing. When you think about, just when we talk about the term imposition, I mean, there's such a layer to that. When we talk about just the process, the mundane monotony process to the modern term of what is composed in someone's life. There's a lot of things that they just have to go through. So when you talk about trauma, it's not something in particular per se. Yes, we can highlight certain things more than others. Yes, of course. But it should be able to see how birth and death, that whole concept is a trauma bond. So that's the level I'm coming from. And so when I hear somebody look to defend such a thing, it's such we're just on different levels, I guess. I don't know. Again, I'm in the world just like anybody else. If somebody looks to do something wrong to someone that I like or of my family, I'm going to, I'm in this with anybody. I'm not no different than anybody, really. There really isn't that much different when it comes to, somebody that's of this mindset and somebody that would like to impose such a thing on somebody in the first place. We're not much different than most people. But the whole point is, I don't know. I think it comes back to just thinking. People don't think. We're founded upon not thinking. And then people look to act like they're thinking out here, but they're really not truthfully rationalizing this place. It's truthfully not. It doesn't make of rational sense, let alone the empathy, the ethics. I mean, it doesn't even make sense when you talk about just the sense that you're in. It doesn't make sense for the everyday common person, which is pretty much, it doesn't matter who you are, this eugenics, nowhere near that. It's just when you talk about just, you go to anybody, if you were to talk to them, one-to-one, it's why I use terms like subordinate, cuck, because why would you want to have to defend so many things that you would have to defend if you look to uphold this? I don't really think a lot of people understand the receipts they would have to pay for when it comes to condoning and backing up this world. There's a lot of fucked up things you would have to look to back up. And I'm not really down for that. I'm really not. It's just not the case. And a lot of times people look to pinpoint certain modes of things that they don't want to defend when it comes to things like abortion or certain war crimes or economic policies, social injustice. We can look to pinpoint certain things and, we can, great, that needs to be done. But to have to take a step back is important. We have to take a step back. We have to reflect. And not enough of that has happened. Clearly not enough, because this still isn't yet something that we have come to realize that this should not be. Because, again, there's just asking questions. The very fact that we have things like this that we have to look to bring awareness to, like, hey guys, if we were to think this way, if we were to think about all these unfortunate scenarios that are currently going on as I'm speaking, that maybe we shouldn't have to put this randomability, probability risk onto somebody that's not asking for any such thing, because surely you're not doing anything that important. Enjoy what you can while you're here, cool, but surely, might as well lend a hand to your fellow man. Where's the compassion? So the honesty to antinatalism is just understanding certain, again, facts. You just ask enough questions. If you talk to enough people in these realms, I just find quite fascination to the mind that looks to oppose, because why would you look to be the defendant to this existence? That's a tough case. I would not look to do that. I don't care what money. No, my soul, no. So yeah, and then again with trauma, I get it. People can be more traumatic than others, given certain highlights that, but we're all traumatized. You don't get out of this world not being, So I just want to make sure people are able to understand that, we're all in that affiliation. Someone might have a higher badge than you. Yeah, but, we are all that. It goes back to the word suffering and all these, we want to place it on somebody else because they may have it more of it, sure, but you should be able to reflect upon your own matter. Just the very fact that you're on others like that's even in your world in the first place should kind of reflect if you're anything of an empathetic person, which goes back to these terms, goes back to the whole traits to what it is. Let me show you how dishonest people are. So a common concept, thought process when it comes compared to the principle behind antinatalism. A lot of times people will look to bring up the rape analogy. And just by that word alone, there's a connotation. Oh, don't want to think about it. Don't even bring that concept, thought in my head. Okay. But if you look at the merit, the understanding that's looking to be displayed, people should be able to see how that's pretty much similar in the sense to what we look to intend to bring the discussion to when it's connected to antinatalism. That imposing force, pretty much brute physical force imposing their will on another thing, a potentiality, in this case with, rape, a subject, a person that would rather not have such a scenario happen in the first place. Hoodoo Goddess, she had a video. It was something around protecting your children by any means necessary. There was a person that commented, his name was Kush Ali, Kush Nawaj, something like that. Ali, he said, and this is what it comes down to, to just break it down, antinatalism, you can use a phrase in the first place, these simple sayings, the very fact, what's another one, to even begin with, unnecessary, right? It's just like, what the fuck are you even trying to say? It's like the very fact that you're trying to even look to, so it's that energy. It's like it's trying to pinpoint how slimy people are. A lot of times, I've been in the political realm. A lot of people they like to be libertarians, freedom, right? That taxation is theft. It's that same energy, though. But at the same token, they don't want to affiliate that type of thing, that type of sense to antinatalism when it comes to that, the unborn and its theoretical personal autonomy. They would only want to have it when it's in the material sense, in the matter of a sentient being, but it's the same sense in essence. Yet they want to acknowledge one thing and not the other just because it's in humanity form. It's just silly because it's the same concept, same principle where you're getting fucked over, yet you're condoning one fuckery over another. That shit that's really messed up because that's what it comes down to, being screwed over. And who wants to be screwed over? Nobody. But if you're not able to see how in just anybody's life, how you are in a way getting screwed over, most people it's by the man, but really it's Mother Nature. It's just being honest again. And most people, they're just not. And then they look to, and this is only because most people, they get bombarded with this at times or something. They get indirectly crossed with this philosophy or something, and they feel like this is a personal attack. I don't know. But when it comes to this side of the argument, we've done enough internal reflection of this idea in just the ultimate sense. We've thought about it much, so it goes back to the humility. Know your place. You weren't even in this realm to begin with. Now you're trying to look to justify this. No.